Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, Lady MeeLing America as well. There's a few different names that I've gone by. I'm going to start going through Finding a Silver Lining, which you need Finding the Silver Lining, which is the complimentary book, because of the amount of stuff in Finding a Silver Lining. You can see the difference in the thickness. So this is Finding the Silver Lining. You see how thin that book is compared to Finding a Silver Lining? Yeah, it's a lot. Now, I acknowledge I've sent out multiple copies of Finding a Silver Lining, and that was, they each have different covers because of the fact that I had so many issues figuring out things initially when it came to publishing on Amazon, or through Amazon, because of my own problems when it comes to technology, the amount of electrocuting issues I had in the state of Washington, and so it's extremely painful. So I sent both Finding a Silver Lining and Finding the Silver Lining to multiple locations and individuals as well, and so whatchamacallit, I've realized that there might be certain similarities to, like, you know, the Old Testament or the Torah, and Finding a Silver Lining, and not to come across as stereotypical when I say this, but how, with the fact that I have like legal documentation and Finding a Silver Lining, how many Hebrews are into the legal system? I'm not trying to be mean when I say that. I hope it's not taken in offense. Just how many lawyers? I'm just throwing that out there as a hypothetical. Maybe there is one or two Hebrew lawyers somewhere, and not being rude when I say that at all. Just, you know, fact. And where I grew up in New Jersey, please, don't even. It's I'm just saying. And so these are all the different books that I've written. Not all of them. There's quite a few more. However, Finding the Silver Lining is, you know, you can make the equation to, the aspects of the New Testament because of the fluffy aspect in comparison, being able to find something to smile about, because this, with the amount of stuff that's in here, as far as, this is the fact-based. This is only facts. This is very little in opinion aspects. This has more of a satirical, comical view of things. So I made sure that when I sent the books, despite the fact that they were published within a small amount of time of one another, and sent to the Library of Congress within a small amount of time within one another, that when I sent the books out, that I made sure to have both of them, because I was afraid of upsetting too many people, so that way they could, I know it sounds weird to think about, you know, the reader in that regard, but I wanted to make sure that if they needed to, like, let's say they got to, you know, let's say one of these pages, they were able to be like, okay, I need a break, I can look at some word, let me find something to smile about, because I can't. Oh, look, okay, I can laugh at that, okay. Despite not also realizing that both of these have legal aspects that I didn't realize could, which would be why I'm back in the state of Texas. And finished that book. the modern day book by Reverend MeeLing, and then put that one together as far as my Medal of Honor art project. Or is it supposed to be like this? You know, how am I supposed to be like, and this one, and this one? So, the mission and the dedication, the mission is to bring awareness. That's in a nutshell. To bring awareness and to be able to create positive change in an overall sort of way where more understanding can occur, as well as taking care of military, law enforcement, fire department, and EMS better, because of a lot of things that have occurred. The different chapters I will go through one by one, because there are a lot. And I sent the books to quite a few, so I'm going to go over the dedication portion. To my most precious children in the universe, my koala and panda bears. Koala is my daughter, that was her nickname, and my son's nickname was, well, both still, Panda Bear. It is my hope that one day you will find this book, read my words, and feel my love with all that I have tried to do to make things better for you too, my children. Thank you to my wonderful children. Thank you for teaching me the beauty of life as I have done my best to raise you to be intelligent, independent, moralistic, and proper members of society. Thank you for blessing me with your presence, love, and life. Without you, I would not be who I am today. I love you both now and always. I love you. I am sorry for everything that I have failed to do for you. I wish I could have been all that was ideal and perfection. Please know that I tried with every ounce of my being to create the best possible life for you, and I am sorry that our family is not as one, all three of us together, as it was, before writing this. I know that I have fallen short of the ideal or perfect parent in your eyes. I apologize for not living up to your needs, wants, or desires, because they wanted and desired me to look like normal. So that way, I blended in better, and they didn't have to deal with the consequences because of what happened at McCoy Elementary School, as well as my biological family and my ex-in-laws, because of the way they very much went on about that. I apologize for not being the parent of yours who died, and instead I was the parent who lived and survived, whom you preferred would be the one with the death certificate and 6 feet below. I truly felt that, because, I couldn't give them what they wanted, and, and desired. I couldn't look normal. I couldn't have that normal hair color and normal haircut as like everybody else as far as females are concerned. I couldn't remember things in a normal sort of way. So they desired that in regards to the aspects of what their friends had. So, and it's not that they didn't love me. I know they did, and they still do. It's just, they very much wanted their biological father, my dead ex-husband, to be better, and he couldn't. And he was a vicious individual and extremely abusive. And so they wanted that normalcy and the idealization that they saw in other people's lives. And I couldn't give that to them because, where other people were able to do certain things, I just was not. And I couldn't have just anyone in regards to a long-term relationship because of what I went through with their biological father. I couldn't put them at risk in that way. So I'm sorry for not being all of what, who, and everything else you needed to have as your mom. I am sorry for not being there when you needed me. I was there every time that I could possibly go. I'm sorry for being there when you did not, because there were times where they just, no, you know, and not in the way of like some children like, oh, here, you know, you don't have to hover, but at the same time, you know, there were times, I mean, I know that all children go through that at some point in time. Well, maybe not all, I didn't get to go through that. Anyway, I will never forget the amount of loss I felt and feel to this day the moment I saw that the innocence was gone from your eyes and heart. I am sorry that I failed you. I hope that one day you will find it in your hearts, even for just 1 second, to forgive me for all of my shortcomings as your mom. I love you now. I have always loved you. I will always love you. I love you. I am sorry for all that I have messed up. Please know I tried with everything that I could do and had available to me. I love you. You are always within my heart, mind, body, and soul. Not a single day has passed without either one of you both within my loving thoughts, because I always wanted the best for my children, no matter what. And before I continue on, I mean, that does go in kind of a little bit further than just my son and my daughter, I have to acknowledge, because of, well, I'm sure my patterns of behavior kind of prove that in that regard, because of different ways of attempting to make sure I could help where I could to make things better, or at least give an idea of a suggestion to try to help. So in regards to military, law enforcement, fire department, emergency medical services, and family members, first, thank you for your service to our great nation. To the females and males who willingly signed the line to serve this country, protect our freedoms, to continue to pursue the desires that our forefathers have set as a precedent for us, and so much more that most cannot understand. Thank you for making the choices that less than 5% of the American population will willingly choose at that point in time in 2014, 2013, when I wrote this, yeah. You are the backbone of our country, and you are what keeps America great. Whether you are currently enlisted officer, chief warrant officer, active reserve, National Guard, former medical, honorably discharged, other than honorable discharge for our cities, states, countries, thank you for taking the time out of your life to stand for the beliefs and principles that ring true to your heart. Though the devil dog's phrase, the few, the proud, the Marines, is due to volunteering for the Corps is solely patriotism. Hua, sisters and brothers, stay safe, stay warm, and thank you. The above is not solely written for those who physically signed the line on the government documentation, but all of the above is also meant for those addressed as stated originally as in the opening. Family members, friends, spouses, and all loved ones who continuously stand by the person or people who they know who are within the realms of the service, you too serve your country, though are not as recognized as the soldiers themselves. I want to publicly thank the individuals and groups who stand by their loved ones who has, is, or will be a part of law enforcement and or military serving ranks. Without your love and support, concern, and care, those who choose to go out to the field would not have the full strength that they need to get through each week or each day. Without the loved ones, the soldiers would have no purpose to fight in order to come home to those she or he loves, for their ideals and beliefs can only keep them alive for so long. The heart is more important, very relevant, extremely lessened in value than it should have ever been, and is more misunderstood than most can place into words. Within this, the perpetuation of the problem cycles continues to grow and manifest more negatively. Soldiers choose to serve not only for the college benefits or for the ability to travel around the globe, but also because the military and law enforcement is their way to show that they care about their loved ones so much, that they are willing to lay their life down to protect their loved ones. Thank you to all who care for and or are a part of law enforcement, emergency care, and military service branches. I appreciate my freedoms. Thank you for them, and stay safe. In reference to all parents and child caregiver facility faculty for student education, if an individual is Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, Native American, shaman, Taoist, etc., does that individual love, cherish, and adoration of their children or child any more or less than another individual of the same or different religion or spiritual belief system? If someone has tattoos, piercings, and or body modifications, does that mean those individuals love, cherish, and adore their child or children any more or any less than those who do not? If someone is injured or disabled, does that mean those people do not love, care for, and cherish their child or children just as much or less than those who are considered to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually classified as society's quote-unquote normal and quote-unquote acceptable appearance? If someone is emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually, intellectually, politically, and or etc. different than you, does that mean those individuals do not care for their child or children any more or any less than you do? The answer to all the questions above is no matter what or how or who or where or when, etc. One's sexual, spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, political, etc. views, appearance, beliefs, etc. are or may appear to you. The love, the cherish, the adoration, the compassion, the concern, the care, the desire for the best for, and so on and so forth, for most individuals who have a or multiple children. Their little ones are the reasons for their existence, and they love their children more than their own life. If the parent is doing and trying to do the best they can for their child or children, just as you are trying to do the best for your child or children, aren't you being a hypocrite with your statements to your kids to love and understanding and accepting differences when you yourself are not practicing what you preach? Children learn by example. Bullying is a learned behavior. Instead of blaming society for what our children are becoming, why not take responsibility for the fact we are all a part of society? My final words. What is normal? Is normal what the individual believes, or is normal what society has dictated to us to believe? That particular final word statement is because there was a point when my now dead ex-husband, then soon to be the first time of separation, had shaken me during a conversation that went a little further, and he had asked me, why can't you just be normal? What is wrong with you? Why can't you have a normal spiritual or religious belief? Why can't you just fit in? Why can't you just be a normal human being? And that's what came out of my mouth. And it kind of stuck with me. What is the definition of normal? Because the only normal I had known at that time was the setting in a washer or a dryer. And so my now dead ex-husband did not appreciate that response. That would be part of one of the other aspects as to why that conversation went a little bit further than just that. So I'm going to read The Road Not Taken, written by Robert Frost, because of a few reasons. One, because it is befitting for my personal life experiences, and two, it's one of the few poems that I had to memorize during elementary school that I actually remembered the majority of after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them both really about the same. and both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wooden eye. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Before I continue on with the next chapter in regards to delusional martyr, I had been told multiple times that I was delusional in reference to different aspects of what I had been dealing with, part of the aspects in this book, and then as far as, the martyr aspect, there were multiple people who had asked me why couldn't I just be normal, similarly to my now dead ex-husband, and they asked why was I martyring myself. Well, I wasn't martyring myself. I was doing what was right, and in certain ways, yes, you can see certain correlations, but not in the way that they had deluded themselves to think and believe. So according to Merriam-Webster, delusion, the noun, is a belief that is not true, a false idea or belief that is caused by mental illness, which is not something that I had or dealt with. The full definition of delusion: 1. The act of deluding, the state of being deluded. 2a. Something that is falsely or delusively believed or propagated. 2b. A persistent false psychotic belief regarding the self or persons or objects outside the self that is maintained despite the indisputable evidence to the contrary. Also, the abnormal state marked by such beliefs. Examples of delusion. He has delusions about how much money he can make at that job. He is living under the delusion that he is incapable of making mistakes. She is under the delusion that we will finish on time, and as the illness progressed, his delusions took over and he had violent outbursts. The origin of delusion is Middle English from Late Latin delusion, delusio, from deludere. First known use is in the 15th century. Martyr as a noun: a person who is killed or who suffers greatly for a religion, cause, etc. A person who pretends to suffer or who exaggerates suffering in order to get praise or sympathy. A person who suffers greatly from something, though an example being is an illness. A full definition of martyr: 1. A person who voluntarily suffers death as the penalty of witnessing to and refusing to renounce a religion. 2. A person who sacrifices something of great value, and especially life itself, for the sake of principle. 3. Victim, especially a great or constant sufferer, a martyr to asthma all his life, from A.J. Cronin as an example. The origin of martyr is from Middle English, Old English, from Late Latin and Greek martyr, martyrs, witness, first known use before the 12th century. The meaning for the word martyr is someone who undergoes a major trauma, injury, transformation causing grave pain and chaos. True definition of martyr ultimately is summarized by the wish to prevent the turmoil, confusion, and hurt from ever occurring to any other individual. In describing a martyr, the individual seeks and hopes for restitution for their suffering through prevention, offering solutions. Though I would not constitute myself into the above-average individual who could have the classification of a martyr, I will admit I would never wish the slightest bit of pain my children or I have suffered. As much as I despise, I could not do much to assist my children and to prevent the pain and confusion the two of them have undergone. At the same time, I cannot honestly wish or hope the chaotic existence we have had individually and together as a family upon the most soulless of individuals. It hurts too much. Sleeping becomes a difficult task. Looking into one's eyes in the mirror causes physical pain to worsen at times. The definition of delusional breaks down to an individual who falsely believes the truth that they are and or have prophetic powers. Though I do not claim, nor have I claimed to have ESP, magic powers, or any other supernatural form in and or around me, I have gone through some stuff. In my opinion, in some ways, that is in its own right could be considered as delusional without the proof. But there's proof. For the purposes of this book, I utilize the term delusional because even though I know I am nothing unique or a special snowflake, I do believe all individuals have an intended purpose in this life. Later, I was actually told that I was considered unique before I put it on my website. And then I was like, well, I guess. I will allow my words as well as my actions be up for judgments from all those who are free from negative actions and words to decide whether the delusional and or martyr works within the experiences described. So, Chapter 1, Religion and Military Influences. I believe that a better way to begin anything is with a smile, so I would like to begin with writing my favorite childhood joke. The prankster. What colors are in the American flag? The usual response, red, white, and blue. The prankster, wrong, and is not a color. Second, I would like to inscribe the prayer I created for my two children when they were 5 and 6 years old in the book, which I actually had tattooed into me. Light and love between below and above. Though I had been saying that long before. Beginning in December 1999 to January 2000, I had various conversations, not in the same way as with my dead ex-husband, with a couple of different military recruiters. I had only been interested in the Marine Corps and the Army at that time, as I chose to speak only with the recruiters for those two branches. In the end, my choice was to sign to enlist with the Army, mainly because of the fact that I was supposed to receive a $30,000 sign-on bonus upon completion of AIT, the training just after basic. Finishing basic training, each soldier intensely learns their specific job within the military through AIT. Once I had successfully completed both basic training and AIT, I would have received several installed payments over the first year of my enlistment, adding to my monthly pay. I would also earn the GI Bill and several other benefits. The only other option than the Army I had given myself at that time were the Marines. The Marine recruiter could only offer me the patriotism I had been seeking to fulfill, only to add the badass motherfucking title, which comes right along with being an honorable Marine. Whereas in comparison, the Army would allow me to put money into a savings account while having the ability to get my education later, and also having the ability to enjoy life. The Marines only offered half of what I had been looking to achieve throughout my existence. Not denouncing the Marine Corps. I just know that there are Marines who understand that, and thankfully that has been made better for some of them in a lot of ways. As early as I can remember, I wanted to be a part of the United States of America's armed forces since I was a young child. Contrary to those who have been raised and dwell below the Mason-Dixon line would like to believe or would confirm in certain cases, there are quite a few patriotic individuals who live and or were raised above the Mason-Dixon line. Currently, I can give one individual for a definite example, myself. Growing up in the state of New Jersey, I matured mostly in Morganville, New Jersey. However, one does not live within the boundaries of the state and not pick up or learn certain traits of the area as a whole. I grew up going to church every Sunday as my father was a trustee and my mother was a deacon. The foundation for the Presbyterian church where I had been raised in had been started by Scotsmen. I can still remember the beautiful sounds of bagpipes as they were played by professionals who were dressed in authentic kilts. Before and after church services, the bagpipe players would use their instruments to play Amazing Grace on each Palm Sunday to welcome and to bid farewell to the church's visiting congregation. When I was young, the pastor of the church had been a male who was also a reservist officer within the United States Army for years prior to working within the church. A few aspects of the life within the church a 1 square mile cemetery, multiple styles of different mausoleums to honor lost loved ones, the ability to touch the varying carvings, the ability to learn and see the original death angels as they were changed with the progression of time and era, the reasons, and more, headstones from the late 1700s, marked areas where one needed a trained eye to find, a smaller cemetery that holds the remains of the former and original members of the congregation of Old Tenet Presbyterian Church, the hospital that was used, the church that was used as a hospital during the Revolutionary War. The Battle of Monmouth occurred not far from the church grounds. If one lifts the seat cushions on the top of the pews, most still contain blood marks from the church when it was a hospital too. The original pastor had been buried underneath the center aisle to prevent the British Army from desecrating the pastor's remains. The pathway leading from Old Scots Hall up to the sanctuary has many late 1700 to early to mid 1800 gravestones. During the renovation of the grounds of the church, the congregation approved a plan with structural change to the church in order to create a basement underneath the church. After the construction workers had begun to dig and found a longer box, they removed the box to show the church. Afterwards, the structural places for the church building had been changed for a different layout plan after returning the box to its original lying place, which was the original pastor of the church. I've completed that videos prior about that. Which at that time, when he was actually there, was General George Washington's outhouse remains behind the church building, and the youngest age of an individual who may join the congregation of the church is a freshman in high school. The pastor of the church fascinated me. The patriotism I saw as a child, which had bled through his veins, made the hamster inside of my brain start to warm up the muscles for a spin. The varying aspects of spiritualism fascinated my senses as well. Almost after each church service, if not usually prior to church, I would run to the monument that was placed within the cemetery to honor the United States military soldiers, the current, former, and future. As a child, I would read those words. My fingers would trace along the beveled edges of the stone's inscription. I would say the words out loud, and as I would honor the soldiers who had come before me, the soldiers who were current and the soldiers of the futures, I thought I heard my voice booming out to the ends of the universe. As a child, after reading the words, rarely prior to touching the individual letters, I would position myself to lay directly within the center of the inscription, spread eagle, as evenly as I could get my body. For a bit of time, I would just lay on top of the monument, look up and out to the sky above. While laying within the 3 to 4 columns on 2 sides of the inscription, also made of the same stone, I also carved with precision and fine detail. I would envision myself begin to blending of energies with the soldiers of the past and present, present and future, future and past, all interconnected as one. Over time, I would lay on the stone and imagine that I was the only female soldier who had the highest amount of courageous medals for all of the heroic acts of patriotism I had successfully accomplished. This specifically had been where I had run to immediately after the sermon of the pastor, the weekend of the Twin Towers attacks in the 1990s. Though I had, as I already wrote and said, I had gone there multiple times before. As a child, I began envisioning myself to become what I now know as the first female command sergeant major of the Army. As far back as I can recall, even with all the G.I. Joe toys that my friends and I would play with, I do not remember ever wanting to be the officer realm or wanting to wear the stars, the irony. I wanted to please the stars both spiritually and patriotically. Growing up with the history of the Presbyterian church I had attended, combined with the monuments throughout the cemetery, also adding my pastor's military involvement, I was hooked to continue my growth of desire to entice my need for glory in regards to being respectful. I had already learned what a Medal of Honor recipient was. Once the Twin Towers were attacked in the 1990s, I learned what a Medal of Honor recipient was. Most do not think of the northeastern part of the United States of America to be as patriotic as the southern region of the United States of America. I beg to disagree, for if one was able to have been able to see the beauty of the older cannons at Fort Monmouth, look at the way the modern technology progressed in weaponry, to see the soldiers protecting the memorial at Sandy Hook of the unnamed soldiers in person, feel their energy, seeing the battlegrounds and etc. above the Mason-Dixon line can have just as much patriotism as the southern part of the United States of America. There is an extremely rich history within the realms above the Mason-Dixon line or the Dixie line, more so than those who live within Dixieland would like to believe and or would like to admit, as far as I had met up to that point. I am a damn Yankee. I wanted to and chose willingly of my own free will and desire to serve my country, the United States of America. I am a damn Yankee. I wanted to be the first female who saved the world, without all of the public glory, because I knew I wasn't the only one who would be responsible for things. I am a damn Yankee. I wanted to kick ass, take names, because I had been the strongest, brightest, most honorable, and the best for all jobs assigned to my military career. Because I thought that I was going to be able to do certain things, and apparently I wasn't able to because I had that head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. However, life had other ideas in store for me. During my childhood had moved into teenage years, my parents had realized there was a problem they had created. The red, white, and blue had been flowing throughout me from an early age. The patriotic blood still flows strong within my veins. As my desire grew further outwards, I thought about different ways to join the military. However, the 1990s Twin Tower bombings had been the definitive moment for me. After the sermon completed the church service the first Sunday after the bombing, I ran to my favorite monument. I knew then the way for me to help my country was to give myself and all I could possibly be. Did I want to work within the oceans? Could I work within the world of the unknown to see if there were untapped possibilities to work with in order to keep America safe? Did I want to join the sky? Could I handle jumping out of a perfectly good, fine, and working airplane? Did I want to work on the ground? If so, where? How did I want to do the most ethical thought of service I could muster in my brain processing? How could I be an adult and yet still have the ability to be a kid at heart as an adult? How could I do what I would like, go to foreign places, to see other cultures, and defend my country by any means necessary if needed? Learn about other lifestyles and expand my horizons. The ideas I had for a life goal plan were 1. Graduate high school as early as possible. 2. Enlist within the United States of America's military. 3 and 4. Work up my way in the ranks, and at the point of E4 or E5 begin to fully focus on college through trying to keep some college courses after all basic and job requirements training that I needed to successfully had been completed. Achieve at a minimum a bachelor's prior to going before the board for the potential rank of E7. 3/4, continue to work my way up in rank, but enjoy life as I could. 5, possible family while attempting to save the world. I was idealistic as a child, right? 6, top female non-commissioned officer prior to the age of 46 years old. 7, retire and enjoy the rest of my life. 8, work on a part-time basis but relax for the rest of my days on the savings that I had built while I was serving on active duty. I had hoped as a child my ideas would come to fruition for better and for good. I did not think to expect the bad or the worst case scenarios. Currently, I wonder if I should only be filled with indifference and apathy instead of so much hope. When my thoughts wander towards that direction, I am reminded that less than 2% of the United States of Americans' population are selfless enough to sign the line to join the military at that time. At least I can say I tried versus sitting idly by, holding on to hope by not expecting to endure genuine change. And I will finish up with chapter 2 because it is short. My mother and father chose to adopt a half husky and half collie mutt into our house. One of my father's prior foster homes had been considering the thought of putting that dog to sleep. The individual had been an older female who had 2 other large dogs. as the other two dogs usually remained within the compounds of the backyard. The dog, who had been named A for short, did not enjoy staying within the female's backyard. I called him Anubis, but I'll get to his name. At the time, this former foster mother to my father had been living close to a naval base. The minimum of a once-per-week phone call from the naval station to this female began shortly after A figured out the way to escape from the backyard. As a typical dog, he ended up rolling around and playing within the swamps of the naval training areas. Thus, A would scare the soldiers, or the seamen, who were not expecting an 80-pound creature covered in slime and sludge to run towards them as the tail wagged. The visiting day, my mother, my father, and I had traveled out of town to visit this individual. This had also happened during the same time frame. This person had come to their last straw with the dog's escape routines. She began explaining how this dog continuously escaped, and she could never figure out the way he did so. Continuing the conversation's detail, not at the same time, the individual said, now the naval base only calls him AWOL instead of A. At first she thought he was digging holes in the backyard, but there were not any holes. Also nothing in the ground that was close to the fence line. She thought that he had squeezed through a loose board of wood, yet there had not been an issue with any of the sections. She continuously rechecked the fence on a weekly basis. Irony of homeowners associations. She began to watch her dogs closer when the three were released into the backyard for relief. It did not fail. She'd turn her back for a moment, grab something from the counter, and she'd return, look only a few seconds later, and the one dog had disappeared. The cycle continued up until a few hours before my mother, my father, and I arrived at our home. During the conversation, again, not the same type, as far as my now dead ex-husband, we were eating pizza. As a normal 2-year-old will do, when I was finished with the pizza, I chose to share the crust with the escape artist. Just as an average 2-year-old does, I toddled off to the new shiny attraction of my eyes. Then, just as a typical 2-year-old will do, I changed my mind again, and I wanted the pizza crust back. Before any adult was able to move fast enough in order to get off of their chair to stop me, I opened the dog's mouth, removed the crust, which had momentarily ago been given to him to eat. Standing in front of the dog as all three adults stared in shock, and as the dog simply laid on the ground while sadly looking at me, I changed my mind again to give the crust back to the dog. My two parents sat in amazement before offering to take the dog home as I continued to randomly change my mind and give the dog the pizza crust and take the pizza crust away. Give the dog the pizza crust, take the pizza crust. It became a game because it was fun. Because I could open the dog's mouth. And an 80-pound half collie, half husky, I mean, while I would play with my half collie, half husky, AWOL, A for short, there were times that I remember going on, we called them secret missions, as I would pretend with him. Of course, my remaining better memories, a majority of my better memories include my best friend A. I did call him Anubis. If he was not next to me, then I recall running to him once I was able to. The few times AWOL, which my family biologically still called him AWOL, I was the only one who called him Anubis, would attempt escapes, had been whenever I was gone at sleepaway camp. The final time I had left for sleepaway camp, he had not tried to escape. My dog passed away the final week, which was the day of the final camp on my 13th birthday. Though he was my dog and a very good dog, Anubis. And so I'm going to end this particular video of first reading for Finding a Silver Lining by Susan MeeLing. Another aspect of how regards to Q, because I just realized I forgot to put my author name on the book. Right now. Just realized, but that's a picture I had taken when in Florida. So, Like, share, subscribe to my official YouTube channel. Reverend MeeLing is my name, but also Reverend Susan MeeLing. Susan MeeLing. Lady Dori Belle, Lady MeeLing America. I've been known by a few names. So you guys have a good one. Make sure to check the information tab for the other stuff, and there's going to be plenty more where that came from. You can go through my channel, and there have been several several videos that have been uploaded by this point. You guys have a good one.